Today we're covering the case of PC Dante Graham Thomas. And folks, this one is a textbook case of how a single bad decision can end a police career. It started with a drug test, ended with a misconduct hearing, and everything in between, a disaster.
Oh, one of those cases. I'm guessing he tested positive while on duty. But what I want to know, were those drugs in his system from something off-duty, or was he actually using while in uniform?
Well, on November the 26th, 2024, while on duty at Charing Cross Police Station, PC Graham Thomas was hit with a with-cause drug test, which means someone had reason to suspect something was off. 3 days later, the results came back. Positive for methamphetamine and amphetamine, and not just over the limit, way over, 4 times higher than the legal cutoff.
Jesus. Meth and speed? And at those levels? I guess that answers my question. Can you imagine the high-stress situations police are expected to handle, and this guy is showing up tweaked? That's not just a lapse in judgment. That's putting your team, the public, and yourself at serious risk.
When asked to explain, PC Graham Thomas said he'd met a guy on Grindr who gave him an unknown substance, said it was like alcohol, but stronger. He admitted to taking it, even though he had no idea what it was.
So, just to be clear, you're a serving police officer, and you think it's okay to let a stranger drug you with something you can't even name. And then you show up to work with that still in your system. Come on. You're a cop. You spend your life listening to lies, and that's the excuse you go with? And if that is true, you shouldn't be trusted to serve drinks, let alone serve and protect the public.
And I think even he knew that excuse wasn't going to fly, because when the misconduct hearing came around, he didn't even bother to show up. He was notified. He just chose not to attend. And his police federation rep? No defense submitted, no statement, nothing.
So he was smart enough to know he was cooked, but not smart enough to just say no to getting cooked. Honestly, the fact that he bailed on the hearing shows he at least knew how bad it looked. So maybe the meth didn't fry all his brain cells.
Let's get to the findings. The assistant commissioner ruled that PC Graham Thomas did take a controlled substance, either intentionally or recklessly, and because of that, he breached 2 major standards: discreditable conduct and fitness. For duty. First one's obvious. Illegal drug use discredits the entire service. Second, he likely showed up to work still under the influence. That makes him unfit to carry out his duties.
I was going to say I'm surprised they believed he took it off duty, considering the levels in his system, but then I remembered who we're talking about. Because if they did admit he took it while on duty, that would raise even more questions, and the last thing the force wants is more scrutiny.
The panel assessed everything. His culpability was high. He admitted to taking the substance and tested positive. The harm was also high. Drug use links to organized crime and illegal supply chains, and it puts the public and his colleagues at risk. Mitigating factors? Practically none. He didn't take responsibility, there was no proven trauma or stress, and no effort to explain it beyond that weak story. So the final outcome? Dismissed, without notice, and placed on the College of Policing's barred list, which means he's banned from ever serving again in the UK.
And rightfully so. Let's be honest. The public expects police officers to enforce drug laws, not break them. You can't be out here stopping people for possession when you've got meth in your own bloodstream. That's insane.
It also raises serious questions about internal screening and culture. Because think about this. If it wasn't for that tip-off on November 19th, this guy might still be on the job today. We don't know if that report came from another officer or a member of the public, so we don't know whether he was acting erratically on duty and ignored by his peers, or if a civilian experienced the fallout and spoke up.
And that's the scariest part. Because if nobody speaks up, these officers just keep going until someone gets hurt. At least this time, he's off the job. But how many more are out there, skating under the radar?
That's the case of PC Dante Graham Thomas. Tested positive, skipped his hearing, lost the badge, and left us with a lot of unanswered questions. But what do you think? Should drug testing in the police be random, frequent, and mandatory? Should a positive result mean immediate suspension pending a hearing? Let us know in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
These misconduct hearings are a start, But honestly, I'd call them the bare minimum. There needs to be more transparency. We're never told the full story. Like, who reported him? How long was he on duty that day? Did anyone ignore his condition? Was he in contact with the public? Did he arrest someone while he was in that state? And 1,000 other questions we'll probably never get answers to. Anyway, enough of my rant. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more updates. Stay informed, stay aware, and remember, accountability matters.